بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. What did we talk about last time? The adhan and the iqama. Allahu Akbar. Paying attention. I'm loving it, bro. طيب, so what are some of the things that we benefited or that we learned about the adhan and the iqama?
The purpose of the adhan,
Uh-huh.
how the adhan came to be,
Jade.
teachings, kind of lessons, the dream of Muhammad
Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Good.
You know, the adhan, how the adhan is done, iqama.
And what is something new that you learned from that class?
I learned plenty. I knew about the dream. I didn't know Omar ibn Khattab. It's
Radiallahu anhu. Yes.
Yeah, he had the same exact dream, but it was kind of like that, and then the hadith. I think it's hadith of him kind of
Sure.
like running over. And saying,
yes, like running out of his house, saying that I saw the same dream.
Yeah,
yep.
And how that happened, I didn't know that.
Okay.
So that was something I learned. But the iqama, the different kind of the two ways. I think it's three actually different ways.
There are two adhans and two iqamas, right? Right. There are two different types of adhans and two different types of iqamas. We said the standard adhan, which we know, and the adhan of Abu Mahdura, right? And that was the adhan of the Hanafis. And they say that is the one that actually applies. طيب. What else? Or is that it? Is that a good summary?
I think that's what we covered.
And we talked about the timings of the prayers, right?
Oh yeah, the sun. Yeah, the access.
Jade.
And the white light and different, it's like
the different opinions.
Different opinions.
Yeah.
20 minutes versus you got to
good.
Isha.
Yeah. MashaAllah, ahsant. طيب, Uthman, do you have any questions? Or shall we continue?
No, Sheikh, I'm good.
خلاص. طيب.
No.
So the conditions for the validity of the prayer. Now, the thing is, you have conditions that are inside the prayer, and then you have conditions that are outside the prayer. All right. So right now, we're going to talk about the conditions that are outside of the prayer. Yani not because what are some conditions that you can think of that are inside the prayer? Like the prayer itself, like standing is a condition, making ruku' is a condition, doing sajda is a condition. So, but those are all within the prayer itself. These are all things that you do like before the prayer or like, outside of it. So the first one, tahara, ritual purity. Any questions on this one? No, I think that's pretty straightforward. The commencement of the time, what does that mean? I mean, can I pray Maghrib right now?
No.
Why? Because the time hasn't started, right? Because the time hasn't started. That's what number 2 means. Lastly, covering the aura. What does that mean?
Covering the parts of the body, not nakedness of the body, but the parts that we have to cover.
Right, there are parts that have to be covered, right? And we'll talk about this because some talk about the aura in the salah and the aura outside of the salah because some scholars differentiate. Facing the qibla. What does that mean?
Facing the qibla, facing Mecca.
Right, facing Mecca or facing the Kaaba. Removing impurities from 3 spaces. What are they? On your body.
The place.
On your place of prayer and your dress. Ahsant, right? On your clothing. And lastly, the intention. So the intention is something that's pretty interesting because the scholars categorize it in different ways. Some say it's the intention where and the intention where.
Some say it's before.
Yes.
Some say
so it's actually part of the prayer itself. So over here, that's the different. Remember, we were talking about things that are outside the prayer and inside the prayer. That's where the differentiation comes in. They said, okay, no, the intention is actually part of the prayer. It's not outside of it. So for the Hanafis and the Malikis, they actually say that it is outside of the prayer. So now we're going to talk about the time, the commencement of the time. What does that mean? And we had spoken about this last time, correct? So just run through it very quickly. This is, where's the sunrise? So this side, right? Yes.
Yes.
Is it right
Yeah,
here?
we-
Okay. So over here, this is the sunrise. The sunrise is in the east. I always forget.
We had the same conversation.
Right? It goes east to west. No, it goes
East
west
to
to
west.
east, man. Allah
West
yaslahak,
east to
ya
west.
akhi. It goes west to east, yeah. So basically, over here, see the lights of the rays of light. They're coming above the horizon. That's Fajr time. I don't know what's going on here. I think I have it backwards. You know what? I think this is
No, Sheikh, it goes east to west. You're
it's
right.
east to
The
west.
diagram is right. Yeah, east to
Okay,
west.
خلاص.
You want to take us to
Shows
Qiyamah
how
already, Sheikh?
well versed I am. So once the light clears the horizon, that's Fajr time. When the sun it's at its zenith, when it's at its high point, what prayer is that?
Duhr, but you have to wait until after.
So when it's at its zenith, there's actually no prayer, right? So there is a prayer time up until the zenith.
Oh, it's what's that, the
It's duha. All right. When does duha time start? Duha time starts when the sun clears the horizon, right? When it completely clears the horizon, and then you got to wait about like 10, 15 minutes. That is duha time. That is like, it's called the shraq, like sunrise, and that's when it clears the horizon. And then from there until the zenith, that is duha time. And then between from the zenith until where it's like the sun moves a little bit, that time is not permissible to pray. And then when the sun is when my shadow is what is also time.
one length and a quarter or
It's one length, right? It's one, like when my shadow is equal to my length plus the zenith shadow,
Oh, okay.
right? Plus the zenith shadow. And then when is Maghrib?
It's when the sun goes down.
Right, when it first goes down, or when it clears the horizon?
When it clears it
When it clears the horizon, that is Maghrib time. And when is Isha time?
complete darkness.
Right, when the redness in the sky disappears, right? And we talked about the differences of opinion. And we also talked about how to calculate Fajr.
Yes.
This opinion is actually the one I follow.
Oh, really?
The 11-degree Fajr and the 13-degree Isha, which means that my Fajr comes in a little bit later than everybody,
Really?
a little later than everyone else's.
Oh, so
And my Isha comes in a little bit earlier.
so today, what time is your Fajr?
Can't tell you, it's a secret.
Oh, really?
There's a difference of opinion on the time that Isha ends. We had said that the Ḥanbali, they say it ends halfway through the night. It's not actually midnight. It's not 12 o'clock. And how do you calculate the halfway point
Of Isha ending?
of midnight?
Of midnight.
Yeah.
Midnight, huh?
So you calculate it from Maghrib until Fajr.
Maghrib until Fajr, so it's like 2/3 of the night.
Maghrib until Fajr, that's the entire night span, and then halfway would be midnight. Dhuha, it's permissible to delay prayers. We had spoken about that. How do you catch the prayer? We also spoke about that. Tayyib, the awra. Tayyib. So covering the awra. Basically, you cannot see the skin. You cannot see the skin. For women, there's an added layer also. You can't see her silhouette either. Meaning that a woman cannot wear form-fitting clothing. All right? For the men, it is between the navel and the knees. This is by agreement. This is by ijma'. The Ahnaf, or some of the Ahnaf, I won't say all of them, they say that the knees are included. Meaning that they all agree that, what about the navel? The navel itself is not included, right? So from when they say between the navel and the knees, it means from below the navel to above the knee, right? That is not awra. You're allowed to show that. Covering the head, it's only the Hanafis who say that covering the head is recommended. The rest of the madhāhib, they say it is a cultural practice. Wearing tight clothing, form-fitting clothing for men. In the madhab, it is permissible. A man can wear form-fitting clothing and his prayer would be valid.
You're talking about tight clothing
Yes, sir.
for men.
For men. For men can wear form-fitting clothing in the madhab. No problem.
Allah.
And their prayer is valid. But a man could not wear, he can't wear form-fitting and what? translucent, right? If you can see the skin underneath, then your prayer would not be valid because your aura would be showing. So we'll talk. We'll finish this and then we'll talk more about the difference of opinion on how to actually deal with the aura. But in the madhāhib, if a person wears a haram garment, if I stole a shirt and I put it on, would my prayer be valid?
No.
In the madhāhib, it would not. But the Hanafis, the Malikis, and the Shafi'is, they say that the prayer would be valid, but he would have a sin for stealing. They compartmentalize a little bit better.
Oh, so like it's a sin?
Right, but it has nothing to do with the prayer, right? It has nothing to do with the prayer. And hatta makan makhsub, even if they say that a space that has been you forcibly take a space that is not yours, that wasn't permissible for you to take, and you pray in it, your prayer is invalid. Also in the madhab, the shoulders need to be covered. Some of them will say that at least one shoulder needs to be covered. Why?
Shoulder need to be covered. Why?
Because there's a very specific hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying that when a man is praying, he needs to make sure that his shoulders are covered. But why one? Why not both? Because during ihram, when you do tawaf, the first 3 tawaf, it should be with one shoulder uncovered. It should be one shoulder uncovered, and this is why they say at least one. So what about women? So women, it actually you start there without trying to be funny. There are layers.
There are layers to women.
So she can expose, or she should. Basically, there's a difference between should and can, right? So she should expose what in the first scenario?
Entire body to the face.
Huh?
Wait, what?
What does that mean? The wording should I should have reversed the wording.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
she
it's
can.
Right? No, she should expose what?
the
Her face.
Yeah.
Right? She should expose her face. It's not can. Right? There's a difference between something being permissible and something that she should do and she's recommended to do. So it is strongly encouraged, like it is an obligation that she actually expose her face during the prayer.
Oh, no, in prayer.
Yeah. And the rest of her body be covered. So some of the Hanbalis, the Malikis, the Shafi'is, and a qawl in the the Hanafis, there's a statement in the Hanafi madhab. The Maliki and Shafi'is are in general agreement, and there's a Hanbali statement also that say that she can what? Expose her hands. So far she can expose during prayer by agreement her face, and by majority her hands. And the Hanafis, and this is one statement in the madhab that says she can also expose her feet. You have some of the early Salaf go even more than this. They say, so for example, if I uncuff my shirt, huh? No, that's a bit much. No, but I'm talking about so for this, if she goes like this, what happens? Right, her wrist got exposed. Right, her wrist got exposed. Now the thing is, you have different types of abayas, and you have different types of clothing, you have different types of shirts, right? So a shirt like this, it'll only come up this much, right? My wrist will only be exposed this much. But what if I have have you seen those gowns?
Yeah.
Like the abayas? So what's going to happen for that is almost the entire arm is going to be exposed. That's not what's intended. Something like this, where it's exposed a little bit. The early Salaf, and we're talking about during the time of the companions and their students, that they actually allowed a little bit more than that. So having an exposure like this would mean that the prayer is still valid, and there's nothing wrong with that. Even during the prayer, for the entirety of the prayer, it's not a big deal. Then you say that they have a condition saying that everything needs to be covered, everything, including the face, and that is during fitna, during trial or during tribulation. What does that mean? Now, how do you define fitna?
Things that bring you close to zina.
It's just like a cultural trend that we noticed that could lead to a sister being more prone to, or more like
Taken advantage of. right?
Like, they're taking that, yeah. Like, this, if there's a
Uh-huh.
trend that's noticed,
Right. So basically, what is the purpose of them saying this? What is the purpose of them saying during this trial or during tribulation? It means that there's a chance that if this girl is recognized or these girls are recognized, what's going to happen?
might get
Right.
molested.
They might get molested. They might get
Raped,
kidnapped.
sexual
They might
assault.
get, sexual assault. They might get harassed. Well, catcalling, difference of opinion. But I was,
My name is Nella.
I'm amongst the social psychologists. You know what I mean? There's a difference of opinion amongst the players and non-players. So going back to, but being very serious. Like if there's a situation by her recognition or by her standing out, amongst other women, there is a chance that she will draw unnecessary negative attention to herself. Then in that situation, the scholars are, by agreement, they say that she actually should cover everything, including her face. Including her face. Yeah. Why? Because, what is the most recognizable part of a woman? Her face, right? Like, or even a man, like any person, what distinguishes them or what makes them individual is their face, right? So it's very important to keep that in mind and kind of put this in context, right? Put this in context, and some people went, oh, it's oppressive and women are, no, I mean, it's, what is it ultimately for? It's for their safety, right? It's for their safety. It's for their protection. Do they have to? No, they don't. I mean, if they feel safe, like, because who determines safety? Right? An individual does. I can't determine somebody else's safety on their behalf, right? This is something that they have to determine themselves. If a woman really truly does feel unsafe, she should do whatever she can to protect herself, right? And part of protecting herself. So even if she has to, this is more, the problem that we have is we look at this as an enforcement perspective from the vantage point of men, right? Who enforces this? Right? I think that's a very valid question that we forget many times. Who enforces this idea that a woman needs to cover entirely? No, she does. She decides herself, right? This is not something I'm going to decide for women, right? I can't decide on her behalf, like, okay, now you have to cover your face, right? It becomes very arbitrary, right? It becomes very arbitrary. She needs to be in a position, and wallahu alam, I feel that that's what the scholars, when they came up with this ruling, what they intended and what they were talking about. That if she's in a situation where she feels unsafe, she should do the best that she can to protect herself. And part of protecting yourself is covering your entirety. Even psychologically, what happens? Like, what is the benefit of a woman covering entirely?
Psychologically?
Yeah. Like, are women who cover more less prone to being preyed upon?
Yes.
Okay, you think yes. Well, I mean, I think we'd have to see a study, right? We'd have to look at statistics in countries or in places where women cover more. And are they less prone to sexual assault, right? Are they less prone to, to being molested, etc.? I think that would be a good thing to study and a good thing to look up.
Yeah.
But if we take that assumption and if we assume that, okay, they are approached less, when they cover more, that is a good, I think, a good catalyst or a good supporting argument for anyone to say, hey, listen, the more you cover, the less chance it is that you will be approached. But I'm saying, like, even for us as a community, if we live in a place where everybody covers, like, everybody wears niqab and all this, what kind of woman stands out in that community? No, the one that doesn't. Right? Think about it. If you have 50 women who cover their face and then you have one that doesn't cover her face, where are all of the men going to look? Right? The one that doesn't. Dave, what about the opposite? If you have a society if you have a group of 50 women and one covers her face, what's going to happen there? Right? She's going to stand out. So I think it's very important. Like, what if it's a balance? What if it's like 50-50, 25 and 25? What happens in that case? It depends on the individual, right? I think, it depends on what they're looking for, what they're attracted to, and what their motivations are. So, I mean, I think this is a good, like, social argument on how to deal with this and how do you actually determine fitna, right? How do you actually determine fitna? And I think the best thing is leaving it up to the individual, right? The individual. This is an option that the fuqaha have given. This is an option that the scholars of fiqh have given for the woman. Like, hey, you feel unsafe? Here's an option. Cover up. And is there a chance that she'll get less attention? Yeah, I think so, right? Because some men won't even approach, right? Some men won't even approach because they'll be like, okay, we don't know what's going on.
Yeah, we don't know what's
Yeah, like we don't know what's going on, right?
Yeah.
But Allah musta'an. So any questions on this? طيب, so what I want to do is go back a little bit to if I wear something haram. So over here, there are things that would invalidate. So for example, if I wore like a silk shirt, according to the Ḥanbalis, my prayer would be invalid. طيب, but what if I wore a gold ring?
Well, I mean, it says on the slide it would not invalidate.
All right, it does say on the slide it wouldn't invalidate, but what does that mean?
It means
No, why would it not? You said that if I wore a silk shirt, it would invalidate, but if I wear a gold ring, it won't. Why?
what was it? Is that the area?
Ahsant. Good. Right, because a ring doesn't cover my aura,
Yeah,
right? A ring doesn't cover my aura versus a shirt,
it does.
right? Which does. And like we said, I think the other madhāhib, they compartmentalize this a little bit better than we do. So
that stolen ring. A stolen gold ring.
yeah, that's double layer haram, right? It's not only is it gold, it's stolen.
But it wouldn't invalidate now.
So even in the madhab, it wouldn't invalidate, right? Even the Ḥanbali madhab, it wouldn't invalidate the prayer. طيب, so what if I unintentionally show a part of my aura during the prayer?
So you bend down.
Like when sometimes people bend down, you can see their crack, or like it happens, or somebody unintentionally, like something rips while he's praying, right? He doesn't know. Then what happens to that person? Right, his prayer is completely valid. There's nothing wrong with it. His prayer is sound. His prayer is complete. Dave, what if I hear my pants rip? What do I do?
Well, I guess the best thing to do is salam out, change and
Okay. Well, I would say it depends on the rip, right? So what if the rip is mind frame? Yeah. So what if the rip is like right here?
oh.
What do I do? Can I continue praying?
I mean, I guess yeah, because I mean, it's not gonna really be seen.
Well, and I'm wearing underwear underneath too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's important. Like, because what does showing mean? It means that I'm showing what? Specifically.
My aura is exposed.
Sure.
My aura is exposed.
Okay, you're gonna have to speak up a little bit. I'm sorry.
My aura is exposed.
No, but what is the aura? What actually is the aura? So, for example, like if I wear a tight shirt, like like this, or I'm wearing, you can see my thighs, right? Like, am I showing my aura or no?
Yes, if you see your thighs.
You can see my thighs,
Well,
right?
Now I can.
You can see it.
You can't see the skin.
You can't see the skin.
Yeah.
Ahsant.
So the skin is exposed.
It's the skin. It's when the skin is being exposed, right? So sometimes, like, while it is embarrassing to see somebody's underwear, I'm still not seeing what?
Skin.
I'm still not seeing the skin, right? I'm still not seeing the skin. So, and going back to this idea of aura, like we said, that there are definitely levels to aura. There's the aura in the prayer, which is the highest. What does that mean?
Aura in the prayer, which is the highest.
It means that when I say the aura, if there are levels to aura, I would say that the level of the prayer aura is the highest. What does that mean to you?
A prayer aura is the highest.
Yeah.
Covering your aura is the best for prayer.
No.
What are you saying?
No.
Covering the
I'm saying that there are levels of aura. There's aura in prayer. There's aura outside of prayer, and there's aura in front of maharim, and there's aura in front of your husband. Right?
Aura in front of your husband.
Or is there not? Uthman, what do you think?
For the prayer, I think it's because you're in an act of worship in front of Allah Ta'ala. So that I see why it's more yani more what did you use? The word that you used?
Okay. You'd say it's the highest.
It's the highest.
And for men, what does a man need to, like, if I'm going for salah, what do I need to make sure that I'm wearing?
Something that covers between the navel and the knees.
Right. I need to make sure that I'm wearing something that covers between the navel and the knees. What else? Or is that it? Can I walk in, like, for example, if I walk in with a, what do they call, Hawaiian shorts? You know what I mean? I walk into the masjid with just Hawaiian shorts. And then it's like, all right, call it
Something
Iqamah.
presentable.
I mean, it would be fine if they're navel to between the knees are covered, no?
Okay. Uthman, what were you saying?
I said something presentable, yani.
No, Hawaiian shorts, they're nice. I mean, I got some nice Hawaiian shorts from Banana Republic. You know what I mean? They're fresh. I'm dripping. They're like they're like Eid worthy.
Where'd you get those?
I got it from Banana Republic.
Banana Republic. But technically you're fine, no? Because it's between navel and knees.
You tell me. Is my prayer in the madhāhib? Am I okay?
Does it cover your knee?
You know what? I'll let it cover my knees. No problem.
I mean, it's not the best. You know?
I got, you know how I'm gonna make it cover my knees? I'm gonna sag my pants a little bit, so you can see my strap for my underwear, and then I lowered them a little bit to cover my knees. The underwear is covering my skin. Underwear is covering my skin too.
Right beneath the navel.
Right beneath the navel, right? And then I sag the shorts a little bit, and it's covering my knees. Am I good? Can I lead prayer now?
I mean, people won't want you to, but technically you can.
Taib. So Miguel thinks we can. Uthman, what do you think?
I think you can, but should you?
Yeah, exactly.
In the madhab, you can't.
Oh, in Ḥanbali.
Yeah. You have to have your shoulders covered as well.
Oh, you mentioned one shoulder.
Yeah, at least, right?
Just one shoulder.
At least one shoulder, if not both, right? If not both. So an individual needs to make sure that his aura is covered, also his shoulders. What about, so can I wear like a jersey, like a basketball jersey, and come in and pray?
I mean, is it covering your shoulders?
It's not covering my shoulders,
No.
right? Unless, what about the cutoffs?
Cutoffs.
Yeah, not the jerseys, but the
You can
cutoffs.
still see the shoulder.
You can still see the shoulder. Okay. Tayyib. So I think that's the limit of what I can wear, right? So I should wear at least a t-shirt. At least a t-shirt. Mashi. Got it. What about outside of prayer? If I'm outside, I'm at the beach.
You can wear basketball jersey.
I can wear basketball shorts. Do I need to wear the jersey or no? I'm at the beach. I'm not praying.
You're not paying the pool. I want between the navel.
As long as I'm between the navel and the knee, I'm good. Tayyib. My wife is with me, right? And I got my shorts on, enjoying the sun. What can she wear?
She's got to cover a lot of them.
She has to cover her aura. What is her aura?
Her hair.
Her hair. Okay, good. Her body. Okay. What count? What is her neck part of her body or no?
Yes.
It's what? Uthman, go ahead.
Everything except the face and the hand.
Everything except the hands and the face, right? Everything except the hands and the face. The Hanafis, they also add the feet. This is also the qawl of Sufyan al-Thawri in his tafsir. He mentions that the feet are also not part of the aura because he narrates a hadith of Aisha where she says that they used to wear the fatikh and they would be exposed. The fatikh is toe rings. Some people would actually see the toe rings. Some of the early salaf, they even mentioned that women would make wudu in front of non-mahram men. Meaning that even their arms, right, like 3/4 of their arms would be exposed. So that is as much lenience as you will find. You won't find any more lenience than that. Meaning that her basically her face, and what is her face? Her face is anything that falls within the chin, right? So if she covers here, it's okay. So basically, you guys probably can't say anything because of my beard, but Here, let me do it like this. Is that better?
I guess.
Right. So like if she wears something like this and she covers this area, this is her face, right? This is her face. Everything else needs to be covered, including her ears, including her neck, right? Those need to be covered. And she can expose her hands, and even if her wrists show, labas, that's not a big deal. And her feet, and her feet. This is the most lenient you will find. Maybe a little bit more than this. It's you don't find much more lenience than that. Any comments? Any questions?
And it's only in prayer that
In
should not be showing silhouette.
Right. Yeah, and in the prayer she can't wear form-fitting clothing. Right. But form-fitting, how do we define that? Like, for example, are these pants form-fitting? I don't know if you guys can catch me on screen.
No.
Kind of, right? Not now. What would we define as form-fitting?
Tight.
Something that are tight, right? Something that actually sticks to the skin. Something like, so can a woman wear something like this?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Why? Because it's not something it's not defining the form of her body. Right? So wearing something, these are slightly looser pants, a slightly looser shirt, all of these things would be completely fine. Whether a woman is comfortable wearing it or not, it's her decision, right? It's not for us to dictate. This, I'm sorry. Thanks. You know what I mean? Trying to that Ramadan drip art. So, so all of these things are these are the different types and the different levels of awrah. طيب, what can a woman show in front of other women or in front of maharim?
Well, in front of maharim, she can show her hair.
She can show her hair for sure.
In front of other women, she can as well, but it really just depends on who she can. I think I read something like that. Like, you trust someone's not going to go wrong tongue, right tongue.
I mean, that's different. That's even a Muslim, man. Like, if there's a you don't trust who's gonna like describe your features.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but how do you determine that, right? It's tough. It's tough. So in general, a woman. So I think we talk about the difference between what she can expose in front of mahrams and non-mahrams. But the question would be now, can a woman feed her child in front of a mahram and in front of other women?
Yes,
Yes.
because in the Shafi school, her aura is in front of the mahram is like a man.
In front of a mahram is like a what, Uthman?
Like from the navel to the knee, of which I find it strange.
Right. No, it's actually not. So I want to explain this concept a little bit. So basically, the aura of a woman in front of a mahram and other women is from the navel to the knee. Meaning what? That her chest can be exposed. But there's a little caveat to this. It doesn't mean like, it doesn't mean openly. She can't walk around the house with, topless. How can we dictate that? And how do we define that? And how do we state that? How can I say that even in those madhāhib that say that this is awrah, even they wouldn't allow that? How do we know that?
Haya.
There's a concept within all the madhāhib called al-urf. What is the urf?
Custom.
The
Culture.
customs, right? So all of the madhāhib, they take into account this idea that within any society, there are going to be customs that allow certain things and don't allow certain things.
What kind of indigenous tribes?
The indigenous tribes is different because they're not Muslim.
Oh,
But but we're talking about that. We're talking about Muslims. So within Muslim cultures, I am not aware. Maybe you guys know, but I am not aware of any Muslim culture that would allow a woman to walk topless in front of her mahrams or in front of other women. Now, in front of other women, something that might happen, that might not happen in front of her mahrams is they'll change in front of each other, right? Like that's not something that I don't think is strange, and I think it's something that you'll find within many Muslim societies. Even within some Muslim societies, they won't feed in front of their mahrams. They think it's aib. Like they think it's odd to feed and expose yourself in that way in front of your mahrams. They'll leave the room. Like I know in my family, And in a lot of the subcontinent culture, not all of them, but in a lot of the subcontinent culture, women will leave the room. Some women won't even feed in front of other women. So it depends, right? All of this is defined by the culture. So all of this is defined by the culture. So when we talk about the navel to the knee, this is the shuttery requirement, because on top of the shuttery requirement, there's always going to be what? The cultural requirement.
Urfi requirement.
Right? There's going to be the urfi requirement. So does that help put things in context a little bit, Uthman?
It actually does. I never understood it, but now, yeah, it makes
Okay.
sense.
Alhamdulillah.
Barakallah fikum, Sheikh.
Fika barakallah. So, and the thing is, like, like I said, man, I don't know any Muslim society, or forget Muslim society, even non-Muslim societies. Is it acceptable for like a woman to just walk around topless? Are there certain occasions where they might allow this? Yes, but they're very specific places. It's not just like, okay, hey, it's hot. Let me take my shirt off. It doesn't work like that. Right? You still have most societies versus like, those very unique indigenous tribes like that are like kind of cut off from civilization. But most of humanity, it's not acceptable, right? And most of humanity, they don't accept that. So that's in front of maharam and in front of other women. What about in front of her husband?
Well, I assume.
Yeah, is there an aura of a woman in front of her husband? Does she have to make sure that something is always hidden from her husband? Miguel doesn't know. Good answer. Uthman, what do you think?
I think the private part, if not, in
I'm sorry?
the private part is an aura, but unless when they're doing jama.
Okay. Yeah, but a private, when we talk about private, it's you can't look at it.
It's makruh in the Shafi madhab.
Right? It's makruh. It's
yeah.
disliked to look at it. Well, and the Hanabila, I don't remember. It might be makruh also, but I'll have to go back and check. But I think the Malikis is jaiz. It's not a problem. It's not. Yeah, it's not. You know what I mean? I'm on that Maliki tip, bro. So for the Malikis, it's okay. I don't believe because you actually have specific narrations even from Malik talking about fellatio. Yeah, which is actually really interesting. For some of the more extreme cultural Ahnaf, like you can't see. Yeah, you can't. Like, but I mean, whatever. It is what it is. They say. Tfadal. Do I see what?
Do you know if there's any more
Iftar, wallahi, the distribution's out front. يعني قدام. يعني رحتي عند الباب؟
Oh yeah.
خلاص. So yeah, and you'll have like a lot of extreme things, like like you have to keep like a bed sheet between you and your wife, and yeah, it's really odd, It's cultural, akhi. Like I can't think of like any logical shuttery reason that you would ever have some type of barrier between you and your wife. Like it doesn't make any sense.
But I'll tell you later on, Sheikh.
I'm sorry?
I have a dalil, but I'll tell you later on.
Yeah, okay. He says he has a dalil, but he'll tell me later on.
Oh, he is.
I don't know if I want to hear it, Uthman.
Oh, they chain and lock your room.
I'll send you a message. I'll send you the video, inshallah.
Allah musta'an. Allah musta'an.
Wait, send it to me.
But khair, these in general are the levels of the aura. This is what I wanted to talk about today. My headache is starting to kick in a little bit harder right now, and I'm running out of energy. So I think I'm going to open up the floor for questions, inshallah. You guys have any questions? You can share them in the chat if you have any specific questions, or you can unmute yourself.
So, Sheikh, the niqab is not wajib as some Hanbalis tend to claim.
That's a modern Najdi phenomenon. I don't believe that. I don't believe that's part of the madhab.
And where do they take the call? Not within the madhab, definitely, right?
Well, the strictness is during time of fitna. I think that's agreed upon amongst all the madhāhib.
Okay.
So, but they
use
just,
it.
you know what I mean? But the problem is like you just use the label fitna and it can, it can apply to any time and any place.
Makes sense.
Because remember, the problem that I have with this use of saying, okay, during fitna, the problem I have is like, okay, who decides that? And I always believe that, you know, Islam is a very personal religion. It's not a religion that is imposed. And if that's the case, then the woman decides. This is just an option that the madhab has given her. Wallahu alam. That's my wajhat an-nadar.
Not the man, the woman.
Yeah. Well, like how can the man you know what I mean? Like how does a man know if a woman is in fitna? Like
Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking about, I was thinking
yeah.
about something.
No, I'm saying like no, I'm just saying logically.
Yeah.
You know, how does a man decide that?
Yeah.
He's like, no, you need to wear niqab. Why? Because you're in fitna.
Yeah. I was thinking too.
The thing a man can define is he can tell a woman like, hey, listen, dressing like that is fitna or attractive, because he's the beholder, right? At that point, he's the one that determines things that are attractive and unattractive, but he can't be the one to actually dictate fitna. Khas, if we don't have any questions, or you guys don't have any questions, then we'll end here. I guess I'll wait a minute to see if we get any more questions, and then we'll end. But from my end, wallahu a'lam, wa sallallahu ala khayri khalqin nabiyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. No?
جزاك الله خير شيخ.
آمين وإياك يا أخي. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك وأشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.